If you're arrested by a police officer, one of the most important words you can use is the word no. No, I won't take your drug test. No, I won't have anything to tell you, officer. No, I don't care to balance on one leg, because I've heard it could hurt my legal defense. Hi, I'm Attorney David Venable. If the boys in blue have you detained, the best time to call a lawyer is ASAP.
He's the big city lawyer with small town charm. David Venable, attorney at law. Call 478-783-2825.
The answer to your insurance needs is simple. The Grimsley Agency. No matter your needs, life, auto, or home, it's the Grimsley Agency. You can trust Danny Grimsley and his staff with great coverage for your whole family. New car or home, the answer is the same. The Grimsley Agency. Give them a call at 783-2581 or see them at 203 Commerce Street, Hawkinsville. Proud supporters of all Red Devil athletics.
All right, Chaz, hear me? All right, welcome back to the XL College Football Drive at 5. This is Chuck Ferguson, along with my co-host, Will Nobles. We got Kim Parks in the studio running the boards, and we have Chaz Ferguson on the phone in Tallahassee. Chaz, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good, man. We're going to have a little recap today of the national championship game, if it was really a game, and then we'll talk about transfer portal stuff, and then we'll look ahead to 2023 football season, and then we'll do some predictions for the Power 5 Conference Championships. If we get a time, we may even try to dabble a little bit into the Group of 5. At this point, it's really going to be kind of shots in the dark with all the transfer portal stuff going on. We don't know what these teams are going to look like come August or September. So, Will, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Man, what a game. Yeah, Chaz texted us, or he texted me and said, man, I was on the edge of my seat right up until the coin toss. Chaz, that was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't a game at all.
So, I can't hear him. Ken, can you? I can't hear either one of these guys. We changed our studio around this week, and so we're trying to make sure that everything is done right. Chaz, can you hear me now, bud?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing Will.
Yeah. Maybe turn some volumes up or something. Yeah, Ken and I on here taking everything apart, putting them back together. So Ken knows all about this stuff. I don't. Man, hey, the game the other night, guys. Georgia it wasn't even close. I mean, I guess the closest part of that game was the coin toss, like Chaz said, and 65-7 is a definite statement. I hear a lot of people talking about they didn't think that TCU deserved to be there. I think that's hogwash. They absolutely deserve to be there. They beat Michigan in a playoff game. Had this been a semifinal game, I could see people probably saying, somebody else, maybe Tennessee. I don't think Alabama should have been in over Tennessee, to be completely honest with you. Alabama did play good in the Sugar Bowl, give them that. But, man, Tennessee played great in the Orange Bowl. Will, what do you think about all that hoopla with Alabama claiming they should be in the tournament?
Well, I mean, if you're Alabama, you're going to claim you need to be in every single year. That's just kind of the culture they have there. No, but they've been great. They've been great for a long time. I do think they were a top 4 team this year, at least a top 5 team. A lot of what TCU experienced as far as success was in a lot of close games. They did have a lot of balls bounce their way. I said last week they were very fortunate against Michigan, and I stand by that. I think that held up Monday night. It's not that TCU's a bad team. I don't think they were a top 4 team. I mean, I don't know how, again, you can be number 3, lose, and not drop. But the people below them helped them out a lot. I don't believe USC should have been, and obviously we saw they struggled against Tulane.
No.
But I think Alabama has as good of a case as anybody. I think you could have had Alabama in there. You could have had Tennessee in there, and I don't think it would have been crazy. I mean, I was one advocating that Penn State's got a shot to get in there. So I don't think TCU was a bad football team. I think they were a good football team, a unfortunate football team, and their luck finally ran out as
Yeah.
soon as that game kicked off on Monday night.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, it reminded me a lot of the Michigan Georgia Orange Bowl last year, where those guys came out and from what I understand, some of the guys who were down on the field, I listened to this week on the podcast, they said that those guys were real loose and warm up, and everything was great until they came out and they were on the field with Georgia and they saw how big and fast those guys were, and that's what Michigan said last year too, guys. That was that was the difference, and you see those guys that are big, Jordan Davis, how big that guy is and how fast and quick he is. I can understand, I mean, that's got to be intimidating. But one stat that I think it's not really a stat, it's just a fact about the personnel. When you have, I think it's over 80% of your staff, or 80% of your roster, 4 and 5 stars versus 23% of the TCU roster is 4 stars. I think they had only 1 5-star on the whole roster, and the only guy on there they really thought they could have started at Georgia was Quentin Johnson, and that was all we heard about all week, how great that guy was going to be. And, man, he had 1 catch for 3 yards. And I was looking at some mock drafts today, and he's still showing as the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. And I'm not even – in the mock draft I saw, I think it was Todd McShay's, which, come on. Todd McShay's didn't even have Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round. They had, so I don't know. We'll see. Once the combine gets here, and there's a lot more to it than what those guys did, while they were in college. But Chaz, what do you, as far as the rosters go, and the way the game shook out, what do you think about that? I know that you didn't get a chance to see part of the first half or part of the first quarter, but I think you did get a chance to see most of the game, right?
Yeah, I was able to see second, third, and fourth quarters, and I was trouble hearing Will, so hopefully I don't sound like a broken record. But the wealth gap in their rosters and between TCU and Georgia was just so apparent. You see, I think TCU and Michigan had a similar roster, the same as Ohio State and Georgia, and you see how close both those games were. But when you match up to those programs, unless it's Michigan and Ohio State, because rivalries are different, they do work differently. We all know that. But once you have that mismatch of rosters, especially when the game matters like this one did, especially to Georgia, you can see those blatantly apparent, and it was just too obvious. I mean, Georgia was a lawnmower and TCU was grass in that game. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even funny.
And the idea. I'm sorry, Chaz, I cut you off. Keep going.
No, you go ahead. No,
I was going to say, when we talk about, the Alabama, claim they should have been in there, and maybe they were a top 4 team at the end of the season, but when you go back, after the season is one thing, but once you're in that situation where those guys are got to pick, before the playoffs start, they got to pick the 4 top teams in the nation. At that point, the biggest thing I could see is maybe they should have flipped Ohio State and TCU in 3 and 4, and we probably would have had the same exact games in reverse. So, I think that if Ohio State plays Michigan again, I mean, they're going to thump them, I think. And then you may get a final with Georgia and Ohio State, and who knows? That might have been a different game when they. But I'm going to tell you something. Anybody can say what they want to, but that Georgia team that played Monday night, man, they could have beat anybody in college football.
I think so too. I think they could have beaten They could beat anybody in the past several years. I think that was just an unstoppable force.
Yeah, that one game. What do you think about that, Will? You agree with that?
With what exactly?
With the premise that Georgia could have played anybody in the nation in that game, and they would have thumped them pretty hard.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think we saw that with them beating Ohio State, which again was a close game.
Yeah.
But I mean that was a lot going wrong for Georgia and a lot going right for Ohio State.
Yeah.
But not to disparage who they are and what they've done. They're a great football team. But yeah, the way Georgia played last night, it didn't matter who showed up on that field. I think the outcome was going to be similar. Yeah. May not have been a 58-point margin of victory, but I do think that whatever 22 guys you lined up on that field on Monday night, it didn't matter. Georgia's going to win.
Yeah. Looking at the stats, see, man, we talk about time possessions, not always a applicable stat or anything, but man, 37 minutes to 23 minutes time possession, Georgia just killed it. A lot of 3-and-outs with TCU. A lot of 3-and-outs. Total yards 589 to 188. Georgia outgained him by over 400 yards. Just in a championship game, that's just unheard of. 335 yards passing for Georgia to 152 for Max Duggan. 254 yards rushing to 36. That's right there. It tells you what Georgia's all about, man. They're gonna run. If they want to run the ball, they're gonna run the ball, and you're not gonna run it on them. I don't care who you are. 32 first downs to 9. I think that, what did I hear a stat? I think I told you guys the other day. It was something about TCU had was it more plays? Oh, Georgia had more plays over 20 yards than TCU had first downs or something. I don't know, something crazy like that. 3 turnovers for Georgia, 5 sacks, and it was just lopsided. It's very lopsided. I think that's really all we talk about that.
I think it's something crazy that happened in the national championship game was Georgia scored on every single possession except one.
That's what it was. Georgia scored a touchdown. That's right. Georgia scored a touchdown on as many possessions as TCU had first downs. That's what it was.
In the game.
In the first half, what happened?
Ken said in the first. Go ahead, Ken.
In the first half, Georgia scored as many points as they had downs.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah. That is incredible too. They and of course they tied records for the most points in the first half. Tied a record for the most points in the championship game. Tied a record for the most points in a bowl game, if that's considered a bowl game. I guess it would be. So anyway. I think that's enough about that. Georgia played a great game. They're 2-time defending national champions. We're happy about that. Some of the guys out in the audience may not be if you're a Florida fan or Auburn or Alabama or somebody else, but that's just tough luck. So we're going to take a break here in a minute. You listen to the XL Sports Network, College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse in Hawkinsville every Sunday as Thanksgiving. We're live in the David Venable Studios. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes. Y'all stay tuned.
50 years ago, Jack and Claudia Fowler started the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. And for the last 33 years, their son, Lewis Fowler, has continued the proud tradition of providing Middle Georgians with the best Southern food around. Join Lewis in 2022 for the 50th anniversary and enjoy the daily specials, or the daily lunch buffet, the Super Sunday buffet after church, or the special Thursday night buffet. For the best steaks and the best fried chicken in Georgia, go to the Steakhouse Restaurant on the Highway 340 or bypass in Hawkinsville.
One of the most important words you can use is the word no. No, I won't take your drug test. No, I won't have anything to tell you, officer. No, I don't care to balance on one leg, because I've heard it could hurt my legal defense. Hi, I'm Attorney David Venable. If the boys in blue have you detained, the best time to call a lawyer is ASAP.
He's the big city lawyer with small town charm. David Venable, attorney at law. Call 478-783-2825.
The answer to your insurance needs is simple. The Grimsley Agency. No matter your needs, life, auto, or home, it's the Grimsley Agency. You can trust Danny Grimsley and his staff with great coverage for your whole family. New car or home, the answer is the same. The Grimsley Agency. Give them a call at 783-2581 or see them at 203 Commerce Street, Hawkinsville. Proud supporters of all Red Devil Athletics.
Welcome back to the College Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse in Hawkinsville. Coming to you live from the David Venable Studios. We'll talk a little bit now about the transfer portal. And just saw Kyle Ford, wide receiver from USC, a highly ranked 4-star in the 2019 class, has put himself in the transfer portal. So that's going to be I'm sure that's going to be somebody that some of the teams are looking at right there. Some of the Georgia players went in today. Rylan Goody went in. Jaheim Singletary went in, a 5-star cornerback. Georgia's recruited a lot of defensive backs, cornerbacks in the last 2 cycles. So losing that guy is not the end of the world, but, like Kirby says, you can't have too many corners. Let's see. Will, what are some of the big names in the portal that you've seen?
Recently, I haven't seen any huge names. Of course, we had some new commitments. Saw Chaz's Seminoles got Cypress, I believe his name was.
Killing it.
Ventrell Cypress.
Yeah.
Cornerback. I think he was a top rated. No, second. Third. I forgot. Travis Hunter. Top cornerback in the transfer portal going to FSU. That's pretty good. Obviously, saw Sam Hartman is going to Notre Dame. That was a rumor for a while, but it finally happened. Jordan Birch, I saw a couple of days ago. He's going from South Carolina to Oregon. I mean, I think Oregon's do a great job, not just in the transfer portal, also recruiting. I think Dan Lanning's doing a good job building out there.
Dan Lanning had a great relationship with him when he was at Georgia, because it was down between Georgia and South Carolina where Jordan Birch was going to go. So I'm sure that was some residual relationship there with Coach Lanning, and good for him. I think he's going to get a great ball player.
One thing I just saw was interesting. Zach Calzada, he was at A&M, then he transferred to Auburn. Now he's going to go to Incarnate Ward. So, interesting.
Wow.
Okay. The most interesting thing I've seen is that we've seen on 24/7 Sports, Smoke Bowie's been crystal ball to Georgia for probably 2 weeks now, and I'm just curious what's holding him up.
Yeah.
Anything you've seen, Chaz?
Going back to the Kyle Ford thing, Kyle Ford, this highly ranked recruit, wide receiver out of USC, he transferred, but that's not the only USC transfer at wide receiver. His teammate CJ Williams, who is a 4-star coming out of high school, just transferred to Wisconsin, and I checked his recruiting history, and he has no nexus and no ties to Luke Fickell, so maybe he just doesn't like what's going on at USC. I don't know if he wants to, play on a team with the defense, but that is interesting. I don't want to speculate too hard on what's going on, but it's hard to rationalize why a highly ranked wide receiver would leave a Lincoln Riley offense, other than the fact that he wants a good defense to play to benefit him.
I don't know. That is kind of interesting.
Said it, Rylan Goody, really high-ranked tight end out of Georgia. He still doesn't know where he's going. A guy Hall, wide receiver from Texas.
Well, you know where he was before. You know where he was before Texas, right?
Was he Georgia?
No, he was at Alabama. He was the one that Coach Saban called out for not being ready.
Goodness.
He was the one that Saban ran off. Yep, he sure was. Basically, if you listen to Saban, listen to some of the Alabama fans, they're almost saying that it was that guy's fault they didn't win the championship, because he wasn't ready, and he wasn't. That guy was not ready, and he was the one that Saban was talking about that didn't want to put forth the effort in practice and better himself, and then when he got a chance to play, he wasn't prepared. And,
Another guy in the transfer portal is Sam Jackson, TCU's backup quarterback. He's a former 4-star. He's transferring to Cal, which I hate it for TCU because they're losing a whole lot of personnel, and they might take a little step back. But it's not looking good over at TCU. And I think one that might have Mike Norvell cringing a little bit is Malik Feaster, cornerback from Florida State, going to Mike Norvell's former college location, Memphis.
Interesting.
And so a lot of movement going on. I mean, I'd be interested to see how many. There's been 1,753 players entered the transfer portal this offseason so far.
A lot of those guys, some of those guys will stay with the team that they're with right now, whatever. I see a couple names in here, Chaz, guys that you probably remember. Brett Suther, tight end from Georgia that you played against down in Calvary when he played at CCC.
The guy, Brett Suther, for all our listeners, he was a tight end at a Clearwater Central Catholic in Clearwater, Florida. And let me tell you, this guy is an animal. I was I was really excited when Georgia picked him up because I knew how good of a player he was, and I think that he was underrated as a recruit because he's only a 3-star.
Yeah.
Homeboy played like a stud. And I don't know where he's going to transfer, but whoever's going to get him is going to get an absolute dog at tight end.
Well, he's coming out of a tight end room there, Georgia. That's just, I mean, you got all Americans in there. You know, another one that you're also familiar with is the left offensive guard for the University of Florida, Ethan White, who also played at Calvary Christian, where you played, Chaz. I think you left your senior year and went somewhere else. If you played, I'm not sure if you played your senior year.
Yeah, that guy is a mammoth of a human.
Yeah, he's a pretty big boy. Pretty big boy.
I never played with him. Thank God I never played against him. But he did all right at Florida. I don't know why he would want to transfer. He was a starter. And he did all right.
I thought he did good. I watched it quite a bit just because I was interested in seeing how he played. And I thought the guy played. And I'm not going to sit here and rant and rave about any Florida Gator being good or anything. It's like pulling teeth for me to say anything good about the Swamp Lizards. But when I saw him play, I thought the guy, he started for at least 2 years down there. So anyway,
I think it was 3.
May have been 3 years. Yeah. Speaking of Florida, man, there's some drama going on in the Swamp today, man, or this week. Jaden Rashada, quarterback, highly rated 4-star out of Pittsburgh, California, signed his letter of intent in December, was committed to University of Miami for a while, and then all of a sudden, right at the last minute, he signed with Florida. And now he's kind of holding out. Apparently, there's some problems with NIL deals or something. Will, what do you know about that?
Just as much as you, not a whole lot. I think it is a bad situation for Florida to be in. Obviously, I don't think they have a great quarterback room coming in next year. I think there was a good chance Jaden Rashada might start for them next year. But I don't know what else is going on there. The NIL can have an impact in bigger ways than I guess have been seen so far or anticipated, and I think we're going to be, unfortunately, seeing a little more of that as we go. But we'll find out, I guess.
Oh well. I hate it for them.
I think a big transfer we haven't talked about is JT Daniels to Rice.
JT Daniels, man, the guy that we thought that was going to be the one who would lead us to the promised land, is just spreading the JT excitement well throughout the nation. I think. I hate it for him. I think he's a good guy. I thought that he was a great teammate. I thought somebody that really helped out on the team last year with Georgia. But yeah, you're right, man. It seems like with every transfer, it kind of gets like more faint the interest in him.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get benched and you don't like being the second string, you can transfer and be the third string somewhere else. That's just how it happens. The grass is always greener, it seems like, to these guys.
Keaton Clotis, the one that took his job at USC and then transferred to Pitt, is now in the transfer portal as well.
That's crazy.
I know,
it's crazy.
It is. And I think these guys have to sit out, though. I don't know how that's going to work. I think you get one transfer free, and then the other one's got to sit out.
Well, Keaton Slovis has recently committed to BYU, so it's looking like he's going to go there. And I just saw, I think, some news today. They're changing the rules for a second transfer, which is about time. I think how it works now is, I could be very wrong, but this is my understanding of it. You have one transfer, then after that it has to be for medical reasons or health concerns, or like if you're being physically or otherwise threatened or abused or something of that nature. In that case, you do get a waiver for an immediate second transfer, but I think after that you may either have to sit out or you won't get your second transfer at all. But again, I wasn't super clear on it, but they are changing rules, which I think is good. I do think they need to set more clear guidelines with some of this stuff, and I think that better benefit the players, because I know a lot of these guys, like I said, Zach Calzada, he was your starting quarterback at AM 2 years ago. Now he's going to Incarnate Ward. Like you said with JT Daniels, he was at Georgia, and now he's going to be going to Rice, a team that barely made a bowl game only because of their stellar academics. I think a little more structure will be good for the teams, the sport itself, and ultimately the players, because that's what it's about. don't let these guys make awful decisions. Like I said, JT. I think he's a good case study there because he obviously had struggles at USC, but and then he came to Georgia, had struggles there, and then you don't anticipate a guy like that and a talent like that struggling at West Virginia, but then he did, and now he goes to Rice. So best of luck to him. But I think the ability to transfer has actually ultimately failed him in this process. I don't know if he's a huge name that you know, Chaz, but Marshawn Lloyd, I believe. We were talking about USC earlier. He's the USC junior, South Carolina.
Yep.
He's actually traveling out to the Trojans. So.
He's going to the other USC.
Committed to USC senior.
Oh.
So we'll see how that works out too.
It's another highly contested recruit there.
Yeah, he didn't put up a whole lot of just raw numbers last season, but I think he's a good talent. I think he has some potential. I'm not sure what the Travis Dye situation is at Southern California. I don't know if he's still hurt, if he's going to the draft. I'm not sure if he's eligible. But it's going to be interesting having another running back there in the backfield. I do see that USC is getting a bunch of transfers, but a lot of them are offensive guys, unfortunately, for that team. And it's not shocking considering Lincoln Riley's philosophy when it comes to playing football. He's like, hey, we'll try and outscore them and pray they screw up.
And on the topic of this USC dichotomy of a great defense and a great offense and no defense, Lincoln Riley made the decision to keep Alex Grinch, his defensive coordinator, who was his defensive coordinator at Oklahoma.
Wow.
He's going to be coaching again with the Trojans next season. I don't know why. I don't know what kind of wisdom lies within that decision. But he will be there, so we can expect little to no change on the defensive side of the ball next season at USC.
I probably won't be picking USC in our pick'ems.
I think you're looking at a lack of wisdom as opposed to any sort of traditional wisdom there. I mean, they are picking up some decent, if you're looking at a star rating, they're picking up some decent defensive guys. They're picking up Anthony Lucas from A&M. He's a 4-star defensive lineman. They're getting Mason Cobb. He was a really good linebacker for Oklahoma State. And they're getting a 4-star cornerback from Arizona. But again, we'll see what they can do. I don't think the talent matters so much if you have the wrong coaches, because a lot of USC's struggles, in my opinion, could be solved with simple learning how to tackle. I think
they could not tackle and save their life.
I think they win that Tulane game if they just make 2 more tackles. Yeah, that's how close that game was.
I think you're right. Yep. Well, we're up against a break right now. We're going to take about 2.5 and come back and listen to the college football Drive at 5 with XL Sports Network, brought to you by the Steakhouse in Hawkinsville. Back in 2.5.
This is Pulaski County's online radio station, The River, where the music flows.
50 years ago, Jack and Claudia Fowler started the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. And for the last 33 years, their son, Lewis Fowler, has continued the proud tradition of providing Middle Georgians with the best Southern food around. Join Lewis in 2022 for the 50th anniversary and enjoy the daily specials, or the daily lunch buffet, the super Sunday buffet after church, or the special Thursday night buffet. For the best steaks and the best fried chicken in Georgia, go to the Steakhouse Restaurant on the Highway 341
If you're arrested by a
bypass
police
in
officer,
Hawkinsville.
one of the most important words you can use is the word no. No, I won't take your drug test. No, I won't have anything to tell you, officer. No, I don't care to balance on one leg, because I've heard it could hurt my legal defense. Hi, I'm Attorney David Venable. If the boys in blue have you detained, the best time to call a lawyer is ASAP.
He's the big city lawyer with small town charm. David Venable, attorney at law. Call 478-783-2825.
The answer to your insurance needs is simple. The Grimsley Agency. No matter your needs, life, auto, or home, it's the Grimsley Agency. You can trust Danny Grimsley and his staff with great coverage for your whole family. New car or home, the answer is the same. The Grimsley Agency. Give them a call at 783-2581 or see them at 203 Commerce Street, Hawkinsville. Proud supporters of all Red Devil athletics.
All right, welcome back to the XL College Football Drive at 5, live here in the David Venable Studios in Hawkinsville, Georgia. We have Chaz on the phone in Tallahassee. Got Will sitting next to me, Ken on the boards over here. I'm your host, Chuck Ferguson, and we're going to talk about, well, hey, guys, before we get started on this, how about the curtain call from Stetson the other night? Man, I thought that was a great thing that Kirby did for him. I heard Brock Bowers talking about it. He said, yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue, and Coach Smart said for everybody to stay on the field and then motion for Stetson to come off by himself. I thought that was a very class thing for Coach Smart to do. Kim, what did you want to say about that?
Well, me and my wife were a little unsettled when he did come off field because we really wanted to watch him finish the whole game. And it's been a long time since I felt something, like when he came off the field, I had a lump in my throat. Yeah, and because 3 years ago when he came on and took the spot from Daquan, and took over and won the Arkansas game. At that moment, I know a lot of people didn't believe in him, but I was like, that's our man right there.
Yeah.
I mean, and then JT came along and he was all right. He passed good, but he didn't have the run that Stetson did. He didn't have the running ability. He had the passing ability, but let's take a look at Stetson's passing ability. And if he wasn't a walk-on, why? I mean, why are people saying that he can't go to the NFL? Because from what I just saw, he should be able to go play for any team.
Right. They're talking about his size, and that's kind of when you hear that, you see him standing next to Bryce Young, and he's bigger than Bryce Young. So if Bryce Young can go to the next level, why can't he do it? You're right.
Tua went to the next level. He's tiny.
He's bigger than Tua. Exactly. Well, he's taller than Tua. Tua's kind of thick, but yeah.
Well, when he played his first year, the only problem he really had was people blocking his passes. They were jumping it up and batting it down.
He had to learn passing lanes. They had to be able to roll the pocket a little bit so he can get some passing lanes. Will and I talked about that a lot. It's funny you talk about the Arkansas game in 2020, Chaz. I remember when you and I were in Florida watching that game, and I think you may have been over maybe at your girlfriend's house or something, but you texted me and said, man, this guy is going to take it. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you're like, man, this guy's great. And I thought to myself, he may have already hit his ceiling, and how wrong I was, because the guy is just, he's the kind of guy that, he's not going to take no for an answer. He's not going to say, okay, I'm going to throw the towel in. He is not a quitter, and that's what you like about him.
Yeah, no, you have to like that about him. He's obviously, he doesn't know what quit means. He had every reason to leave, and even last year, even after he won the national championship, he was still getting slack from everyone, and he told Good Morning America, like, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can trust what the coaches make, the decision that coaches make, and so he had like a little thug in him, like he didn't really care. A lot of people take that as disrespectful, but he probably was in the mindset of, I've been disrespected my entire life, so I don't care, and I respect him for that. And you're right, we all guided him.
Yeah, what he meant by that though was he knew that Georgia was going after Caleb Williams in the portal, and he was trying to figure out how that was going to shake out. And once he realized that Caleb Williams was going to USC. And they told him, they said, you got the offense, it's yours now. And that's why, I think that's what he was talking about there.
In all fairness, can a single soul in the world blame them for going after Caleb? Or if you, before the season started, if you said, hey, you can have Caleb Williams or Stetson Bennett, who are you taking?
Exactly. No, I agree.
I don't think it's even close. Yeah. I think the Georgia team is even better than they were with Caleb Williams. Not taking anything from Stetson. He had a really good year. But that offense, can you imagine that offense with Caleb Williams?
I agree.
Good and gracious.
I really agree. Well, let's go ahead and talk about what's coming up in this season. I'll tell you what, guys. I don't know if you guys saw any of the game, the All-American Bowl in Texas. Dante Moore, the quarterback that's committed to UCLA. Have you guys seen that guy play at all?
I have not. No,
I have not.
He might be the starting quarterback on day one at UCLA. He is a guy so good, man. He's throwing passes that you would see somebody that's in their second or third year in college that have been developed throw. He's he looks good. He's big. He's mobile. He's got a great arm. I think that he's gonna be really good for Chip Kelly out there at UCLA. Some other guys that look really good. Caleb Downs, obviously, out of Mills Creek, going to Alabama. He's going to be good. Justice Haynes, running back from Buford, going to Alabama. He's a Georgia legacy, but he decided to go to Alabama instead. Reuben Owens going to Texas A&M. He's going to be, I think he's going to probably be a pretty good back there. Some other guys that have already played this year. I think about Harold Perkins at LSU. Good night, that guy. I think he's going to probably be an All-American this year. I think he's got that ability. Some other guys, I think they'll be All-Americans. I think Brock Bowers for Georgia will be an All-American. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Vaughn Bullard's not a preseason All-American and plays that way this year. He was the MVP of the Peach Bowl and the National Championship game, and that guy's got a little bit of crime scene, a little bit of Lewis crime scene in him. I think a little bit. He loves to hit. Great cover guy. He was not very recruited out of high school. Went to Baldwin High School in Millersville. I think he's going to be. He may be an All-American. Certainly going to be an All-Conference player this year. Some of the other guys. Will, what do you think about some of the other guys out there that are going to be primetime players this year?
I haven't really thought about exactly potential All-Americans for next season.
All conference.
I mean, there's going to be a bunch of players that come out of nowhere. Obviously, I think Bo Nix is set up to do well at Oregon again next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Caleb Williams is going to have another good year. Just staying in the Pac-12, I think Michael Penix is going to do well again next year. I think that Washington team is going to be as good, if not better, next year. I'd watch out for them in the Pac-12. We were talking about Wisconsin a little bit earlier. I got my eyes on Mordecai coming from SMU.
Yeah.
I think Luke Fickell in his first year, I think they're going to potentially do some damage at Wisconsin because that division is as weak as it's ever been. I don't think anybody would say that no one in that division has a chance to win it. But I do really like Luke Fickell. I think he's a good coach, and I think that Wisconsin's going to do really well. Specifically players, I'm looking for Joe Milton to do well in Tennessee. I think he showed what he's capable of in that Orange Bowl. I'm looking at Cade Klubnik getting a whole year of starting. I think he's going to be really good, too. I'm looking at Will Shipley to do well as running back, too. I'm looking at, Jordan Travis. He's going to be a problem. Man, I have him on my Heisman list to start the season. Man,
I didn't mention him because I thought someone else would mention him.
He is going to be special, man. I think he's going to probably tear up the ACC next year, and I do think Florida State's going to do some cool stuff, too.
Chaz, he stole one of yours, but some of the other guys you think may be big-time players coming up.
He stole all of mine. I'm going to say Jordan Travis, Bo Nix. I think those two names are going to be alone. We can talk about those names forever. I think Bo Nix coming back to Oregon is I respect the heck out of him for it because he could have left this year. He was.
We don't have.
I think that Bo Nix is a very volatile player. He's either really good or really bad, but when he's really good, he is really, really good. And I think if he can nail down the inconsistency and get more consistent in the next season, consistent in the best regard possible, he can very well be in that Heisman talk. If Jordan Travis is in that Heisman talk, I don't know what the committee, whoever votes on it, is smoking, but he should be.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if Jordan Travis is not in the Heisman conversation come Week 8, it's something Mike Norvell did very, very wrong. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
We say that
and
now,
we don't know
get around October time frame, maybe a little different. But we'll see.
And we don't know who it's going to be. We have a good idea. It'll be Carson Beck. But I think whoever will take over that Georgia offense next season is going to be an absolute stud. There's a reason why you have Carson Beck, Brock Vandagriff, and Gunnar Stockton all in that locker room and nobody's transferring. There's a reason. It means they all probably have a very real shot.
Do not sleep.
Kirby said it.
Do not sleep on Gunnar Stockton. Do not sleep on Gunnar Stockton.
No, don't. And Kirby said, I think yesterday, that mobility is an absolute must now that he's Coach Stetson. He's like, if you don't have mobility, then you're not going to play. Which leads me to believe that's the reason why Gunnar Stockton and Brock Vandagriff are still there, because they're way more mobile than Carson Beck is. Carson Beck can sling it, but he can't tuck it and run. So my big player for next year is whoever's going to take over that Georgia offense. And it's going to be interesting to see what is Alabama's quarterback's name, the backup quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see what he did. Because I don't know if y'all remember.
Jalen Milroe, I believe.
Yeah. The last time Alabama was in this scenario was when they had Tua. And when Tua got hurt, Mac Jones took over. And we're like, who the heck is McCorkle Jones? Who is that guy? And the next season, he almost won the Heisman. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially now that Alabama's going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. Thanks, David Pollock. But I think there's going to be a lot of players that we don't even know yet that are going to be standout players.
Absolutely.
I got a name that you guys didn't mention. I figured that. I figured you would mention this. Blake Corum. He's coming back.
I have to believe that all of these rumors surrounding Jim Harbaugh leaving that school is eventually going to hurt him. I don't see how that cannot impact him because he might very well leave. We don't know who's going to be there. And I think that the past 2 years Michigan has had such a good run. I don't know that they can do it again. They've played fantastic in the regular season, and they've played great in their conference championship games. And then come the semifinal, they just lay an egg. And I think that kind of takes a toll on your team, on your coaches, and especially when your coaching situation is up in the air. I think Blake Corum is still going to be good, but I just don't know if it's going to translate into a successful Michigan season. A couple of other guys I thought about. You got Sam Hartman, obviously, at Notre Dame. I think that's a huge pickup for Marcus Freeman because, I think the quarterback position was a really big part of their early season struggles. They did not have, let's be honest, they didn't have a good quarterback to start the season. They didn't have a good quarterback to finish the season. They just figured out how to play with the quarterbacks they had. So coming in with someone as established and as elite, I would say, as Sam Hartman is, that's going to be huge for Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame. And then Drake May at UNC. They might put together a run and win that part of the division again, because I think Pitt's getting worse. I don't sleep on Duke. They might be better. The rest of them are going to get worse, I think, too. The only team that I might be able to contend with them is Miami as far as talent goes. But again, another team that I think can do better with an improved defense, along with USC, is UNC. So if the two of those teams can fix their defenses, man, they are going to be in for something special, I do believe.
All right, we're going to take another break and then come back and finish the show with some predictions for the Power 5 Conference champions. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll take a break on the XL Football Drive at 5, brought to you by the Steakhouse in Hawkinsville. Back in Square Half.
This is Pulaski County's online radio station, The River, where the music flows.
50 years ago, Jack and Claudia Fowler started the Steakhouse Restaurant in Hawkinsville. And for the last 33 years, their son, Lewis Fowler, has continued the proud tradition of providing Middle Georgians with the best Southern food around. Join Lewis in 2022 for the 50th anniversary and enjoy the daily specials, or the daily lunch buffet, the Super Sunday buffet after church, or the special Thursday night buffet. For the best steaks and the best fried chicken in Georgia, go to the Steakhouse Restaurant on the Highway 341 bypass in Hawkinsville.
One of the most important words you can use is the word no. No, I won't take your drug test. No, I won't have anything to tell you, officer. No, I don't care to balance on one leg, because I've heard it could hurt my legal defense. Hi, I'm Attorney David Venable. If the boys in blue have you detained, the best time to call a lawyer is ASAP.
He's the big city lawyer with small town charm. David Venable, attorney at law. Call 478-783-2825.
The answer to your insurance needs is simple. The Grimsley Agency. No matter your needs, life, auto, or home, it's the Grimsley Agency. You can trust Danny Grimsley and his staff with great coverage for your whole family. New car or home, the answer is the same. The Grimsley Agency. Give them a call at 877-883-2581 or see them at 203 Commerce Street, Hawkinsville. Proud supporters of all Red Devil athletics.
Welcome back to the XL College Football Drive at 5. Brought to you by the Steakhouse in Hawkinsville. Come to you live from the David Venable Studios in downtown Hawkinsville. And we're talking about college football, and we're going to go ahead and look at some predictions for Power 5 conferences. And guys, if I'm not mistaken, the Big 12 this year, is it 2023 that BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF joined the Big 12?
If I'm not mistaken, yes, they will be in the Big 12 this season.
I think they do. Having said that, Chaz, I'm going to let you go first. Picking the, let's just pick some of the, maybe who you think are going to be the conference champions or maybe playing for a conference championship in each of the Power Fives.
I'll start with the ACC. I got to go with Florida State. And this is trying. I know I'm biased. I am. But looking at it objectively, I think Florida State is honestly going to be the best team in the ACC next year if they can get past Clemson. And it'll probably, if I had to guess, be between Florida State and North Carolina. Because Drake May is going to be back in North Carolina, I think, like Will just previously said, Duke will be okay. I think Pitt's going to take a step back without Keaton Slavis. Who knows with Georgia Tech? Maybe Miami. Maybe Mario Cristobal is going to figure something out. But I'm going to take Florida State in the ACC. The SEC, I'm going to pick Georgia. It'll be between Georgia and Alabama. I think Alabama's going to bounce back. That might be a hot take on this radio call, but I think Georgia's going to win the SEC. I think the Tide is going to be the ones to play in the SEC.
I was just saying you're picking them to win the West. I don't. We'll see.
Oh,
we'll see.
Yeah. For the Pac-12, I believe that Oregon is going to win. And I was like, oh, hold on, Chaz. What about USC? I think Oregon, their offense is good enough, especially with Bo Nix now.
Something. Hang on, Ken, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to say, what about Utah? You know, Cam Rising is coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a gut feeling with Oregon, especially now that they have Jordan Birch. They're getting some great transfers. I think Dan Lanning has a great culture there already. He already has his quarterback retaining and staying in there for another year instead of transferring again. I think that things are going well in Eugene. Maybe Utah. Who knows? Honestly, the Pac-12 is very volatile. We saw it this year, honestly. Utah lost week 1 to an absolutely horrific Florida team and then goes on to beat USC. So who knows? I could very well be wrong. And we all know that whoever picks in the preseason is probably wrong to begin with anyway. But I would say the Big Ten. I'm sorry, Will. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm pretty sure Penn State's going to win the Big Ten. I don't even know who they'll play against. Maybe Wisconsin. And then finally the Big 12. Shoot. Man, I don't know. I think TCU's going to take a step back. I hope Texas isn't in it. I hope Oklahoma isn't in it. So I'm going to go with Texas Tech because I love Mike Leach. I'm going to go Texas Tech is going to win the Big 12. I think that's the most wide open conference as of right now.
I love it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go next, and I'm gonna start off with the ACC as well. And I agree with you, Chaz. I think Florida State's going to beat Clemson out in their division. I think it's in the Atlantic. I think they'll probably, you talk about Duke. Duke had a pretty good season. They had 9 wins this year. I don't know if it's going to be them or. I don't know about Miami. You don't know. This early in the season, I think it's just too hard to tell. But I think that Florida State will play the U in Charlotte for the ACC championship. That would be.
You think so? Oh my goodness, that would be amazing.
That would be an intense game.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. And that may be a game that we have to go to. I don't know. I think Florida State will win that one. In the Big 12, you know what? Penn State, you guys, I think we're all thinking the same thing. I think Penn State's going to make a lot of noise in the in the Big Ten East. And I think that Luke Fickell going to Wisconsin, and like Will said, Mordecai coming in there. Wisconsin wasn't great this year, but they weren't really that bad either. And I think they're going to have a better. I'm thinking a coaching upgrade right now. I'm a big Luke Fickell fan, even though he's an Ohio State guy, and I'm not. But I think that Penn State and Wisconsin will play. I like James Franklin. I think he's a great coach, great guy. And I think that Penn State will probably pull that one out. Big 12, man, it's not going to be TCU, I can tell you that. Texas is back? No, I don't think so. But they are adding UCF, Houston, BYU, and Cincinnati. I don't think they have a rule where none of those schools can win their conferences like James Madison.
Not that I know of, because they're not promoting division or from FCS to FBS. They're just changing conferences.
I will go out on a limb. I'm gonna say Kansas State will be the champion.
Wow.
In the Big 12. And I want to tell you, I think they're going to play Texas. I think Texas is going to be improved this year. I think Texas is going to be. I think they'll play for the conference championship, and I think they'll lose to Kansas State. Pac-12, again another divisionless conference.
Looks about 30 yards.
It's hard to say right now. UCLA, I think, is going to be really good. I think USC is going to be pretty good. I don't think they're going to win the conference. I think Utah is still with Cam Rising. I think they're going to be really good. We talked about Washington being good. That's Oregon's going to be good. This is a really tough one to pick, man. I tell you what. I think you're going to have Oregon. I think you may have Oregon and Washington in the conference championship. And you know what? I'm gonna say Washington's going to pull this one out. So I say Washington in the Pac-12. SEC, I'm going to pick Georgia to win the conference, and out of the West, I'm going to say LSU. I think LSU will come out of the West. I think they got the pieces back that they need. That's going to be a tough team to play next year, guys. I think they're going to be much improved. I really think Alabama's taking a step back. I think they're going to go into year 3 of rebuilding this year. I think that Auburn's going to step up a bit, and I would not be surprised, guys. Would not be surprised to see first year coach at Auburn, Mr. Hugh Freeze, beat Alabama, because he's done it a couple times before when he was at Ole Miss. I think he's going to bring some guys in that can play some ball. I think Tennessee's going to be good this year. I think they're probably going to be a 10-win regular season team. I think South Carolina's going to take a step back.
No, South Carolina's going to take a step forward.
I don't know, man. They just gave Shane some money, man. And I think that's really a bad thing. He's not hungry now. I think Baby Kiff over in Oxford. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think it's probably going to be pretty close to what they were last year. Kentucky's going to take a step back. I hope Florida takes a step back, but I don't see how they can. I mean, if they take a step back, they're going to be off the mat. They're going to be off the mat. I think they may win 7 games this year. Who knows? I think Arkansas is probably going to be a 7-5 team. Mississippi State, we'll see what happens with that. Missouri, I think Missouri's going to be another 6-6 team. Vanderbilt may get 1 win in the conference, maybe not. I don't know. They may beat Kentucky, but that's my picks for the Power 5: Georgia in the SEC, Washington Pac-12. Who did I say? Kansas State in the Big 12, Penn State, and Florida State in the Big 10 and the ACC, respectively.
All right.
Yep.
Will, what you got?
I messed up letting y'all go first because y'all just copied what I've been saying for the past 3 weeks and decided it was your picks for conference champions. It's all good. It's all good. I said it a month ago, and I can't backtrack it now. I'm picking FSU to win the ACC. They were very close this year. I mean, if you look at it, they were 5-3 in their conference, and Clemson was 8-0. But I mean, they were very close. They were in several winnable games. They were in NC State game. They should have won that game. That's a terrible end of the game play called by Mike Norville. They were in that Wake Forest game every second of it. It was a back and forth game. Wake Forest pulled away, and then that Clemson game, they almost came back and won it. So they were very much.
All right. Get on with it. Don't open up an old wound.
This this is believe it or not, complimenting FSU. They were right there in every single game. They could have easily been the 8-0 team in their division. I think Clemson is going to get just a touch worse. I can't explain what happened in the Orange Bowl. I can't explain why they did so poorly.
Tennessee brought defense. That's what happened.
But the thing is,
and they had a freshman quarterback over there.
But the thing is, Clemson was expected to do well, and we can't explain why they didn't. So how am I supposed to expect them to play any better next year? So I got to roll with FSU. I think they're going to, if not go undefeated in the conference, only have one loss. On the other side, piggybacking off my Duke take last time, I think Duke, their coach, man, he did really well this year, and they showed when they just beat up on UCF in that bowl game. I want to pick Duke to win that division, but I think Drake May himself might will that team to another division title. Ultimately, I don't think it matters because I think FSU is going to roll whoever comes out of that division. It could be Miami. I don't have any faith in them. Tyler Van Dyke, he just played absolutely dreadful this year. I was expecting big things from him, but he did horrible. I think we're looking at UNC or Duke to win that division, but again, I don't think it ultimately matters because I think FSU is gonna beat whoever comes out of the division. Going to the divisionless Big 12. I was really rooting for Oklahoma State this year, and next year I think they genuinely might be the worst team in the conference, which is kind of disappointing. This one, I agree with you, Chaz. I think this is the most wide open conference in football next year, even more so than some of the Group of 5 conferences. I think TCU is going to not just take a step back. I think they're probably going to fall off a cliff. I think next year they're going to be what we expected to be this year. Kansas State, I think the reason they were really good this year is because they had a lot of talent coming back. I don't know what that's going to look like next year. So I think I'm going to roll with Texas to make the conference championship, like you said. But we'll see ultimately what happens there. As far as who they're going to play, I'm not going to go out on the limb and say that Texas Tech is going to win it. But we'll see. I might even go out and say that first year Houston makes it and loses to Texas, but we'll see. I think right now, though, I'm going to go with, just to make it interesting, we're going to go with a Red River rivalry. I'm going to go with Texas-Oklahoma to make it. But again, things can change. Predictions can change. We'll find out.
So you say the winner of that's going to make it?
No, I think that's going to be a rematch in the conference championship. Yep. Y'all going to the Big Ten. Y'all just stole my Penn State pick, man. I claimed them 2 weeks ago, so I thought they were going to do good. I'm sticking with Penn State to win that division in the East. I do think that Michigan's going to take a step back. I think Ohio State. I think this year was a pretty good year for them, but ultimately ended in disappointment. And C.J. Stroud's going to be gone. I don't know what their backup quarterback looks like. He can't be bad, but I just don't know what that looks like. They're going to have plenty of weapons. They may get a transfer. Who knows? But I think Penn State and James Franklin are going to finally break through and win that division. And on the other side, y'all again jumping on my picks. I'm rolling with the Badgers. I believed in them this year to win the division, and I think they're only getting better next year. I think they're getting a better coach, a better quarterback. I think they're keeping Braylon Allen, who is a fantastic running back. That defense is going to get better under Luke Fickell. It's going to. It just has to. So I'm rolling with Penn State playing Wisconsin. And shoot, a pick. Right now, I'm going to roll with the Nittany Lions just to make a pick. But I think that could go either way if those end up being the two teams there. Rolling out to the Pac-12, man. We talked about what about Utah. I am sleeping with the fan on Utah for next year. I don't think they're going to do anything remotely close to winning the conference. I mean, this year, if you really look at it, they were tied for second, and they won by 0.1 percentage points. The way they had to break it down as a three-way tie to go to the conference championship. I think it is going to be Washington, Oregon, but I'm going to take the Ducks to win it. I got a lot of faith in Dan Lanning, and another year with Bo Nix there in the system too. I think it's going to do them a whole lot of good. I think Utah is going to be worse. I think USC is actually going to be worse. I think UCLA is going to take a step back. I think they're losing DTR. They are getting the new recruit in, but I mean, I don't know that he's going to be able to replace what DTR did.
Oregon State is an interesting one to me because they were pretty successful this year, and it was, I think, pretty independent of a quarterback. But now they've gotten a quarterback who, when he plays well, he plays really well. He shows flashes. So I think Oregon State might actually finish third in that division or that conference next year. We'll see. But I'm rolling with Oregon to take down the Huskies in the Pac-12. And you know, obviously we're all Georgia homers here, so I'm not going to pick Georgia. I'm not going to pick Georgia to win the division in the conference. So Georgia's going to win. I think they ultimately have a pretty easy schedule. I think the only thing that derails Georgia's health if they have some unfortunate or untimely injuries. I think that's the only thing that derails their chances. I'm with you, Chaz. I'm rolling with the Beamer ball. I think South Carolina's going to finish second in the East. I got Tennessee taking a step back, and Kentucky's going to be absolutely dreadful. I'm not too scared of Devin Leary. I think he's going to be good, but I mean they've had Will Levis these past couple of years and still never do anything. Out west, this is the most interesting pick because right now I don't have a favorite. I mean Alabama is Alabama and they're going to be great. I think I might just pick a fun pick right now because I can always change it. But I think I might. We'll see. I think right now I'm just going to roll with Ole Miss. I think, excuse me, like I said, I think Alabama, they're still going to be Alabama, but I mean, if they're this year's Alabama, they can win or they can lose close games. I don't believe in LSU. I just don't. That's just me. I don't believe in Brian Kelly. He couldn't beat Georgia, didn't come close, and then beat a bad team in Purdue that was missing everybody. You said you wouldn't be shocked if Hugh Freeze beats Alabama. I'm going to say right now Alabama wins that game by 17 points, at least. Even though, because that's going to be,
it's going to be in Auburn.
It's going to be on the Plains. Yeah, even though it's in Auburn, I think Alabama's going by 17 points. So I'm gonna roll with the Dogs beating up on the Rebels, but Lane finally wins the West.
Great rundown. Well, guys, we've run out of time, and we're going to go ahead and sign this one off. And we really appreciate you guys out there listening. We'll be back next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Football Drive at 5. Thanks again to the Steakhouse in Hawkersville and the David Venable Studios here in Hawkersville for the sponsorship. For Ken on the boards, for Chaz in Tallahassee, and for Will, this is Chuck. We're signing off. You guys have a great night.